everyone and welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, my name is Sophie and I would love it if you click that big red subscribe button down below. I talk about language learning a lot, I make travel videos, and I also sometimes talk about uni life, so if you're interested in any of those types of videos, then definitely hit that big red subscribe button down below and turn on that notification bell as well so that you never miss a video. So, as you know, this video is about my experience studying abroad from the title. And yeah, earlier this year I studied in Lyon in France for around 5 months. And I just wanted to talk about my experience and share some advice with you all, as I mean, it's coming up to September soon, so there's probably a few of you who are preparing to study abroad at this very moment in time. And yeah, obviously when I studied abroad, some stuff was different because of the pandemic. That is still a thing. When will it end? But yeah, anyway, I have also lived abroad before this, as not to study, but I was an au pair in Germany back in 2018 for around 6 months, and I also taught English in Peru as a volunteer for around 2 months back in 2017. Not sure if you can call that living abroad, as it was, you know, only for 2 months, but was still a long period of time, and the longest I had spent abroad at that time, and also like the first time I had travelled anywhere alone. So yeah, I feel like I have quite a lot of experience of living abroad to know if something was different because of the pandemic and to be able to tell you why it was different. But yeah, anyway, I've decided to structure this video as basically me answering like questions about my study abroad experience. So yeah, I've left timestamps down below, so feel free to jump around if there's something that you're really interested in or want to know more about. But there's other stuff that, yeah, you're not worried about at all, you're not interested in. So yeah, anyway, let's get on with the video, shall we? So I studied abroad through my home university in the UK. Most universities will offer some sort of scheme which allows you to spend some period of time studying abroad, and they should make you aware of this when choosing your degree. If you're unsure, you should be able to speak to your university's international office about this to see whether you are eligible to do a scheme, take part in a scheme like this. Where I study modern languages, it actually wasn't an option for me. It was always, well, it was supposed to be compulsory, as most modern language degrees in the UK include a compulsory year abroad. In my case, it was actually a year and a half abroad, although I said supposed to be compulsory because of the situation. So yeah, in fact I didn't actually complete all of my semesters abroad that I was supposed to. I was meant to spend 3 semesters abroad, each in a different country, but yeah, I only ended up spending 1 semester abroad in France in the end, which, you know, is a shame, but at least I still got to study abroad once. Some people haven't been able to study abroad at all because some universities have cancelled studying abroad completely because of the situation. So I am grateful that I still got to spend some time abroad. And yeah, anyway, what was I saying? Oh yeah, studying abroad through your university is a great way to study abroad because your international office will really help you through the process of everything, which is great. Alternatively, of course, you could do your entire degree abroad. Now, I have not done this, but I know some people have done this, and to me it sounds like a great option if you want to move to that country permanently, because student visas are some of the most easiest visas to obtain, and many countries, not all, but many countries, or some countries, will make it easier for you to apply for permanent residency afterwards. Obviously, like I said, not all, so do your research, but that is something to consider. So as a language student, my choices were already narrowed down for me quite significantly. So obviously I had to go to countries where they speak the languages that I am learning, and like I said earlier, I applied through my university, so I had to go to one of their partner universities, which narrowed down my options even further. And then what narrowed them down even more is because I'm studying more than one language, my home university said I had to go to a partner university where they offer modules in the other languages that I was studying, which really affected my choices in France, for example, because not all of the French partner universities offered German. So for example, I couldn't go to Corsica or Perpignan or Martinique, which are all partner universities of my university, but they didn't offer German. So yeah, that was them crossed off the list. And although you might be thinking, oh, well, this is quite disappointing, you couldn't go to, you know, quite a few places, I think it did make the process of choosing where to study a lot easier for me, especially as many final year students at my university had gone and studied in these places, which meant that I could ask them about their experience and what they liked and didn't like about all of these places, which in the end made choosing where to go so much easier. For example, the main reason I chose Lyon is because it was the French partner university that I'd heard the most good things about from having spoken to literally every final year student in my first year and second year of university. So no, I made the decision in my first year of university, but yeah, having spoken to every final year student, it made it pretty easy. So I would suggest that you definitely speak to other students in the who have already been abroad to some of these places. If you do know any students, maybe you can even try speaking to your personal tutors, and maybe they will know people and can put you in contact with people who have been there. I think this was easier for me because languages at my university is quite a tight-knit department, so yeah, and we had a language society as well, so it was quite easy for me to meet students in the years above me. This might not be the same for other degrees, so yeah, I was quite lucky. But another thing which I considered, and you should definitely consider, is the size of the place you want to study and where you think you'll be comfortable. Don't just be like, oh, I want to go to this place because it's on the beach, but if it's quite small and you prefer to be in big places, for example. So like, I knew I wanted to be in a city that wasn't too small and that had good transport connections so that I could travel around. And I mean, Lyon was the second biggest city is the second biggest city in France. Well, some people say it's Marseille, some people say it's Lyon. I'm not really too sure which is, but yeah, Lyon is the second biggest city in France. It's literally like in the middle of France, or it's in the east as well, but it's in the middle, so it was pretty easy like to get to anywhere north or south of Lyon, at least north, east, and south is like pretty quickly with the high-speed train, so that was great. So I get a student loan every year anyway, because in the UK university is very expensive, and also most students choose to move away from home and study in a different city, so we all apply for maintenance loans, which to cover our rent and our food and yeah, cost of necessities like that. And I still got this loan whilst I was studying in France, and as well as that I got an Erasmus grant of around €300 per month roughly, and the amount does depend on the country which you study in. I know some countries which I think it goes on how expensive the country is to live in, because I think you get slightly more if you go to like Norway, which I know is an expensive country, for an example. But yeah, you can find it all on like the Erasmus website or something like that. But if you don't know what Erasmus is, it's basically just a partnership scheme which allows it's run by the EU, and it allows students to study abroad and get financial help when they study abroad. It's like just for an exchange, not a permanent thing, not to study abroad permanently. As far as I'm aware, you can only get this grant for an exchange. You may be thinking, you just said EU, Brexit, how did you get this grant? I was very lucky that I still got this grant, because actually universities, governments which take part, governments have to opt into the Erasmus scheme every I think they have 10 years or so. So although we left the EU in January 2021, we were still signed on until the end of 2021 as far as I'm aware. So I was still able to get this scheme, but we haven't signed back onto it. However, I know the government has announced some new Turing scheme. Is that how you say it? I should know how to say it because it's literally named after a famous mathematician from the UK. Alan Turing was a mathematician, right? I think he was a mathematician. Oh my God, this is embarrassing. But yeah, I honestly have no idea how much money people will get from that scheme, or what makes you eligible for it or anything like that, because obviously I did not apply to study abroad through this scheme. I'm sure if you Google it you can find information, and obviously your university will know. And yeah, if you can't take part in this scheme and you're not in the EU, so you can't take part in the Erasmus scheme or whatever, speak to your international office, because I'm sure there's loads of different financial help on offer depending on where you're from and where you're studying, and they will know what you're eligible for. So yeah. So I didn't actually budget for my first month, just the following months, and I would recommend that you do this too, because obviously in your first month you're going to be paying out for stuff that you won't be the rest of the time that you are there. For example, paying out for kitchenware and stuff. I needed to go get kitchenware, and I had to pay for student home insurance in order to stay in student halls in France, which obviously it was just a one-time thing. And also another thing is, you don't really know how much you're going to be spending on food and stuff in a country before you get there, because the prices of stuff varies in other countries. So yeah, I basically decided my budget after the first month. I looked at how much I'd spent roughly in that first month, and which of those things I will be spending money on again, and I looked at how much I was spending on food and really thought about, could I save money on food somewhere? Do I need all of that stuff? And then I basically added up my rent with the cost of my travel card, and the cost of my transport card, because I had to pay for my transport card monthly, and the cost of how much I thought I was going to spend on food. And then I added on an extra 150 euros per month for free time activities, which may not seem like a lot to all of you. And also non-essential stuff like takeaways. I didn't include takeaways in with the food and groceries cost. But yeah, that may not seem like a lot to you, but museums and restaurants and bars didn't open up until my final week in Lyon, so most of my free time activities money was just going on little snacks if I was grabbing a crepe if I was getting hungry on the street, and also just traveling, travel costs if I was going on day trips anywhere or spending a few days away anywhere. And there was a month where there was a third lockdown and I couldn't leave Lyon. So there was a month where literally I really spent hardly any money on free time activities. I will say I did go over my budget during my final month in Lyon, but at this point I had no classes, the third lockdown had just ended, so I did more travel to make up for the travel that I hadn't been able to do in the previous month. And also, like I said, in my final week, museums and restaurants opened up, so I was cramming in trying out French food and going to all these museums that I wanted to go to. But the way I see it is, yeah, I spent more that month, but I spent under my budget other months. And you know, if those museums and restaurants were open the whole time I was there, that money would have just got spread out like differently. So I didn't budget for my final month. I didn't see the point, and I mean, I could see how much money I had in my account left to last me, and I felt pretty comfortable that I could kind of spend a bit more. So yeah, but I mean, you have to be in charge of your own budget. Definitely try and budget, but obviously some months you're always going to go over your budget, because some months you're going to get more invitations to do things and more things are going to come up. But if you spend less other months, then I don't see why you can't spend if you spend under your budget other months, why can't you spend slightly over your budget other months? Does that make sense? Yeah. Facebook groups, use them. Literally every city will have some sort of Facebook group for international students, and obviously international students, when they're arriving, they do not know anybody, so they're all willing to make friends and they're all joining these groups. So it's a great way to meet people easily who are open to meeting people. And through the Facebook group that I was in Lyon, I actually found a WhatsApp group chat which I was added into, and then in the WhatsApp group chat people were posting, asking, you know, does anyone want to go on a walk, does anyone want to do this? They were like posting about stuff. I will say, however, I don't think the WhatsApp group chat was very good with the pandemic. If you're watching this in like 2 or 3 years from now and there are no restrictions anywhere in the world, I don't know if that will be the case, because I can't read the future. Hopefully that will be the case, fingers crossed. But yeah, then I would say definitely use the WhatsApp group chat things. But if you're going like now, definitely really be careful with these group chats, because I went to an event in that group chat. It was a picnic in a park, so I thought perfect, outside, stuff doesn't spread, you know, really the virus doesn't transmit really outside. So I went to this picnic. It was my birthday as well on this day, so I really wanted to go. And a few people had said they were going in the chat. When I got there, I was quite happy with the number of people that was there, but then people were sharing the location in chats and stuff, and more and more people turned up. Then I was like, I'm gonna go now. And as I was like getting ready to go, like the police showed up. I didn't get in trouble or anything, but I stayed away from stuff in that group chat after that, because obviously, yeah, it was like breaking the rules. And I saw in the group chat as well that people were posting about parties which I would have loved to go to, but obviously I was like, I shouldn't be going to those, and good job I didn't, because I also saw in that group chat that people got fined. And at one party, at least 4 people I know of tested positive, because someone put in the chat, you know, anyone who's at this party needs to get tested. So yeah, those group chats maybe aren't the best these days. I did still talk to people from that chat sometimes via text. It was great for asking questions about stuff, but didn't really go to any events in that chat. I did make some close friends other ways though. I made a close friend through the Girls Who Graduate group on Facebook, which isn't for studying abroad or anything. I think it's more of a UK based thing, but yeah, I met another girl from the UK who was studying in Lyon that way. And also I met people through Instagram. Message people on Instagram. Like I said previously, I would have never have dared to message anybody I didn't know on Instagram before. But when I started posting content on Lyon and people started engaging with it. People message me. I got a few messages from French people who were like, oh, do you want me to show you around this place? And I mean, one of the guys I said no to because he wanted to pick me up in a car and take me to some vineyards, and I'd never met him before, and I suggested meeting somewhere else first, and he said no, so I didn't go with that. So you do have to be careful. Definitely, I would say only meet if you could meet someone like in the city centre in daylight, you know. But I did make a really good friend who messaged me on Instagram, and I hung out with her a few times. I actually almost went to her parents' house as well, and to see the city where she grew up, where she lives. She was going to show me around there, but unfortunately, because of a cancelled train, I never ended up going. But yeah, I made some great friends that way, and also consider staying in like student halls or house shares. In France, student halls are actually, from what I've heard, quite dead, and people don't really talk to each other. But I got lucky in my flat. Not everybody, but I would say like half of us all spoke, and we had a WhatsApp group chat, and we'd be like soirée and stuff like that. Like people message, oh, do you want to play cards? Do you want to have a soirée? Do you want to cook together? Stuff like that. So I got quite lucky, and I got a lot of French practice that way. So yeah, definitely social media, basically social media. But if you're trying to make friends during the pandemic, be careful. And also, if you're meeting up with people meeting up with people from online, obviously be careful. If something doesn't feel right, trust your own instincts and get yourself out of that situation, or don't meet up with that person. Yes, I did travel, as you will know if you follow me on Instagram, because you would have seen all of my content, my travel content that I made, and I made a couple of travel vlogs on here as well. And yeah, I actually received like a few comments on Instagram like, I idolize and study abroad, and that's not the reality, and do you ever study abroad is about studying. And I did study, I just didn't really show it, because I mean, I feel like Instagram's such a highlight app, and I showed the highlights. And I actually got quite lucky with my timetable, so on Tuesdays or Thursdays I didn't have to be in until the afternoon. In fact, on Thursday I went in to like 4 in the afternoon. Tuesday I went in until 6, like so I would like explore during the day, and then I would come back slightly, like I would explore in the morning and then come back for lunch, and then like study a bit before class. And obviously I always did all my assignments and stuff. I did a lot of studying in the evenings so that I could go out and explore during the day, which obviously I didn't share. And on Fridays, I had Fridays off, so ideally, if I wanted to, if I didn't have too many assignments at the weekend, I could have gone on a like 3-day trip. Obviously we got a holiday as well, so in France we had a week off in February and then a week off in April. Unfortunately I didn't do any travelling in the week off in April because this was during France's 3rd lockdown, but I did just make the most of exploring Lyon, and making sure that I was getting outside and doing stuff, like going and taking myself on picnics in the park. But yeah, I did quite a bit of traveling when I could. And also after like the Easter holiday, the spring holiday, it wasn't the Easter holiday, we literally had no classes, just exams. And I had a bit of a break before my exams started, so I did a bit of traveling during this time. And then when my exams did start, I had like a week break. I had 2, and then I had like a week break before I had the rest. So yeah, I did traveling then. And I mean, you can always stay a few weeks after your exams finish to travel. Initially I was going to do that, but things were, when I booked my ticket home to the UK, things were opening up in the UK, and they still hadn't announced a date for everything to open back up in France. They just said mid-May, but for terraces and museums, but they hadn't actually like announced it. And yeah, sometimes I look back and I'm like, I wish I stayed a bit longer, but I'm here now. So yeah, you can definitely travel, and I think the you should do it. There's definitely time to travel and definitely time for study. It's all about how you know, organise your time. I organised my time, so I did a lot of work in the evenings. But yeah, that's it for this video. I could say loads more about studying abroad, but the fact that my stomach is now rumbling and I feel hungry is a sign that I've been talking for way too long, and this video is going to be way too long, so I'm ending it here. Please, if you have any questions, you know, feel free to comment down below and I'll try my best to answer them. And yeah, I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.
I just need to tell you.